New titles for a new season. Welcome to the first Matchday -2 of the new Premier League season with me, Dan Bates, and Matt Elliott. Coming up over the next half an hour, we'll look ahead to the Foxes' trip to the Hawthorns on Sunday. We'll also look at LCFC Women and the LCFC Development Squad, as they're both in action as well over the weekend. Matt, though, we'll start with the first team and start with welcoming you along to the first one. It's nice to be back again, isn't it?
Certainly is, mate. Yeah, it hasn't been much of a break, has it, in a close season? It's all been a little bit disjointed, to say the least, and fragmented, but we're here and we're prepared, and hopefully the squad are prepared for Sunday's opening game against West Brom.
Yeah, hopefully they will be. 2 days away, of course, from that game. How do you think the squad will be feeling? What were you feeling 2 days before the first game of a new Premier League season?
Yeah, it is slightly different this year because, it's different sort of mentality, isn't it? Because of, how things have been. At the end of the season not so long ago, which was later than normal, and then before you know it, you're back down to business again. A real short break, if at all, I'd imagine, for some players. International games, mixing in with pre-season friendlies and early stages of the EFL Cup competition. It's bizarre times. It is. It's going to take some getting used to, but nonetheless, the players will still be looking forward to things and really excited at the prospect of a new campaign and what that may hold.
And obviously West Bromwich Albion, the first game, you look at it on paper, it's a newly promoted side, but away from home, and they obviously had a good season in the Championship, coming second, so it isn't going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all. Very few easy games are there in the Premier League, whoever the opposition, but we spoke about there, Leicester will be as well prepared as anyone, although it has been difficult because of injuries and suspensions to an extent, and also with the international games. But other clubs got to deal with it. But West Brom, side with Premier League experience, some of the players there still from their time from relegation a couple of seasons ago, but they've added a little bit of flair and flamboyance as well, haven't they? And they're going to be a tough proposition at the weekend, that's for sure. And I think it's probably a good thing, that the supporters aren't there, of course, on top, make it that little bit even more difficult. But hopefully Jamie Vardy's in the sort of form that we've become accustomed to at the Hawthorns. Yeah,
I think he probably wishes there were fans at the Hawthorns, of course, because of the way that it's gone. But it has gone really well for Leicester in recent seasons there, of course.
Yeah, and, there are reasons for that, because West Brom sort of played a certain way, didn't they? And I felt they were a little bit unambitious, really, in the last time they were in the Premier League, and they paid a price for that. I don't think that would be quite the case this time round. And Leicester, were given the opportunity to show that they were the better team, really. And, I don't think they offered regularly enough, West Brom, and deservedly paid the price. But, yeah, famous, a favourite hunting ground for Jamie Vardy and Leicester in general. And we're looking for a repetition of that. And I don't see any reason why not. Although I just got a feeling that with the way things have panned out, that Brendan will be looking to get a steady start rather than spectacular from the outset with the way it's happening with the players within the squad at the moment.
Yeah, we've talked about that man that's on screen now, Jamie Vardy, of course, and that ridiculously good record that he has got at the Hawthorns. And we'll take a look at some of the goals, because some of them are quite brilliant as well. Yeah,
it's uncanny, isn't it, how it happens so regularly for him at West Bromwich Albion, in different seasons and different circumstances. I mean, this was a wonderful individual goal, picked up on a little bit of loose defending, but that's what Jamie Vardy does, doesn't he? He makes people pay for their mistakes, but, a wonderful run, petrifying the defenders with his pace and finishing it superbly. But here you see, it's mentioned about Jamie Vardy good in one situations, not mentioned about his link-up play too often, but that is a big part of his game and something you don't see often enough of late, really, because he's not as involved often enough. But beautiful little touch around the corner, give and go. I'd forgotten about that one. That wasn't a bad finish either, was it? I'm sure the West Brom supporters will remember it. Usual comical celebration from Jamie. Doesn't quite outdo his Sellers Part 1, mind you, but this is the one that tops the lot, doesn't it? For me, that is exquisite. I mean, Mahrez dropping deep, getting the space. Vardy recognised it, making a run in behind. West Brom know what's going to happen. They can't prevent it. But it was millimetre perfect, wasn't it? The pass into Jamie's path, and he's just improvised the touch, hasn't he? But just guided it with his weaker foot on the volley. Top class play from a top class striker, isn't it? And rightfully got the Golden Boot last year. Repeat the same would be very nice.
Yeah, hopefully so. What do you think it's like for the West Brom players, knowing Jamie Vardy is coming to town and knowing the record that he's got? Will they be, I mean, they'd have been scared of him anyway because it's Jamie Vardy, but will there be an added pressure because of that?
Possibly, yeah. They don't want a repeat performance, do they? It's happened far too often, and some of those players were involved in those games in the highlights that we just saw. So they'll have stark memories of what Jamie Vardy's capable of. But listen, any Premier League defender who doesn't know what Jamie's about by now, needs to have a serious word with themselves. But I think it's good to be a little bit sceptical about coming up against him, because if you relax for 1 minute as a defender, that's when he's at his most dangerous. You need to be on your toes, need to be wary of what he can do and fully focused for the whole game. It surprises me how many times that defenders fall asleep against him, because he is relentless.
Only the 3 games for Leicester in pre-season, of course. Other clubs have had even less than that because it's been such a short pre-season. Not too many goals for the Foxes that we can look at, but important run-outs, I guess, weren't they? And that's what they were for, those games. Yeah,
it hasn't been ideal, as will be the case with, if not all, certainly the majority of teams out there. But we talked about fragmented and disjointed in terms of the preparation, and that's been the case for Leicester, hasn't it? Because of the reasons we mentioned about, but there's one individual who has excelled for sure, Dewsbury Hall, Keenan, who's come in, got himself a goal that we're just about to see here with Tielemans breaking forward from midfield, something he might be asked to do more with the absence of James Maddison, But Dewsbury Hall's equally adept at that, the way he just drifts into that off the back of the midfielder. But good touch, even better finish. And so he's shown his capabilities in pre-season. He would have caught the manager's eye for sure, Dewsbury Hall. Whether he's done enough to sort of elevate himself regularly into the squad stroke first team, we'll have to wait and see. But he'll be hoping that he's made that impact. But generally, I think that the pre-season, here we see Mark Albrighton, who's carrying the initiative that's set by the manager, going and squeeze down the opposition, whether it be defender or goalkeeper, got his reward. Typical industry from Albrighton. But as you say, the goals have been few and far between. The performances have been okay up to a point, haven't they? But nothing more than that, really.
That's what Brendan Rodgers will be hoping to see there, the Mark Albrighton one, the closing down.
Yeah.
Because that's what can put teams under pressure, and that's what Brendan Rodgers' sides have always done. So he'll have been delighted to have seen that so early in pre-season. Yeah,
you don't quite expect to get the reward in that manner, although obviously, it's a little bit of a bonus. It can occur with Albrighton closing down the goalkeeper. But listen, the more you're in advanced areas, if you can enforce errors, then obviously you're going to benefit. I mean, people say that's a soft goal there against Blackburn, but it came as a little bit of a consequence of Leicester applying pressure in that area and a few set pieces. Sooner or later, something might give, and in that case, it did. If Leicester hadn't forced the issue and got the corner, they don't get that goal, fortunate as it was. So, things sort of tend to balance out, on the general flow of play, if you like. If you're forcing the issue high up the pitch, and in terms of closing down, etc. For Hamza Chowdhury was exceptional in that game, and that aspect of play. Quick to shut down. It's something that Brendan Rodgers likes as a hallmark of his team, and you do get benefit out of it, yeah, for sure.
Still to come here on Matchday -2, we'll take a look at the hosts West Bromwich Albion and how they can hurt Leicester on Sunday, as well as looking at LCFC women's highlights from their first ever win in Leicester colours.
Oh, hello. What's going on?
Not much. Just waiting for the football to get back to normal. How about you?
Yeah, me too. Really missing you guys. Could really do with a break though.
So when are you coming to see me?
Hopefully soon, but there's some work I've got to do first. Sawadee.
สวัสดีครับบาย
呢種必須講。
We are an instinct that ignites action. We are a journey, taking one step more. And we are the heart that beats as one. We are proud to be more. De Montfort University, Leicester.
Welcome back to Matchday -2. Now, LCFC women played their first ever game under the LCFC family, their first professional game last Sunday against Blackburn Rovers, and it was a fantastic 3-0 victory. Let's have a look now at the goals.
Blackburn threatened to break, but Leicester win it back so quickly, and Tierney going down that left side once again. Support is arriving. This is Devlin. It's a good ball. It's a good goal. It's a landmark goal for the Leicester City women's side. Their first as a professional team. Is beautifully finished by Charlie Devlin after a wonderful pass from Sam Tierney. Very well taken, and deservedly Leicester City lead. Flint. It's a very good turn. And there's a shooting chance which is taken. And a very well-deserved goal from Natasha Flint against her former club. It's a rocket of a shot. And although this is only the first game of the season, that's already up there as a goal of the season contender. A lovely take, a fantastic turn, and an unstoppable shot. It's 2-0. Challenges from Blanchard, and it may come back to the Leicester City number 10. There are options. This is Farrow. Onto her right foot. It's Flint. Oh, pick that out. That's number 3. If the first shot was struck hard, that was struck even harder. There is no chance for Bentley to stop that one. And Leicester City record their third goal of the game. And it's Natasha Flint, 2 goals on her debut, with 8 minutes still remaining against 10-man Blackburn.
Yeah, terrific start for LCFC women there. A 3-0 win over Blackburn, and what a fantastic first game that is for the women as a professional outfit.
Yeah, it went according to plan, didn't it? Great result, clean sheet, first win in the opening fixture, and some great goals to boot as well, weren't they? I mean, Flint there, the right foot, left foot, bang, no messing about, weren't they? Wonderful strikes, both of them, weren't they? Some good football played, and things are looking encouraging for the women's team there. It's nice to see them sort of get the recognition, isn't it, I think. And the profile of women's football has changed drastically over recent times, rightly so, and not before time really. I think the women's team has officially come under the main umbrella of the club in general, and I think most people will welcome that with open arms.
Absolutely, and the fact that over the summer we've seen a lot of new recruits, for them to go out there together and gel so well as a group to start with, when you see it with all clubs, if they make a lot of signings, sometimes it's difficult for them to play together at the start, but they didn't seem to show any of that, did they, on Sunday?
No, that's right. Obviously, some good players there who've been brought into the club, and as you say, it's not always easy to gel them together, but straight into the mix, weren't they? But that would do wonders for the confidence of the team going forward. And hopefully, I think the ultimate aim of this campaign is to look for promotion, not without getting ahead of themselves, to get up into that top league and raise the profile of Leicester City Women's even more.
And to be part, as you said, of the LCFC umbrella and be a professional outfit now must give them so much confidence as well going into these opening games.
Give them a confidence, but it's just a boost, isn't it, to have that support behind you, really. I think, they've been playing sort of at a certain level, and they may be used to certain facility conditions, etc., and all that will be improved now, and they feel more professional, basically, than it has been before, and that's obviously a positive step, and that will help them enhance individually and as a group, as a squad of players going forward. The better run it is, more often than not, the better results you get and the better the product you get out of it. Hopefully that'll be the case.
We spoke about the new recruits. One of those new recruits is defender Sam Tierney. She's facing her old club Sheffield United on Sunday, and she's looking forward to the challenge.
Obviously we're positive. We've come off the back of a good result against Blackburn, but we know it's not going to be an easy game. Obviously Sheffield finished where they did last season, very good for them, and they were close not to go up. So we take every game as it comes, but we know that this one's going to be a tough game, but I'm going into it quite positive.
You can follow all the action of the LCFC women game with Sheffield United on Sunday on lcfc.com. The development squad, they were in action on Tuesday. They played Hull City in the leasing.com trophy, Matt, and it was a win for them and a fantastic start to the season for the development squad.
Yeah, and relatively successful last year as well, and they've carried on in similar form, haven't they? Development squad, quite a big part of proceedings at Leicester. We know the involvement that a lot of the players have had. There's a great delivery in there in the fast stick. The keeper doesn't know whether to stick or twist, and they featured prominently in pre-season games in the first team scenario, haven't they? So the amount of players at professional clubs like Leicester City these days is unbelievable. It's in the dozens, and you see the depth of talent that Leicester have for sure. And started off in the right vein, and they'll be hoping to continue to do so. On, is it Monday they play Manchester United? And
Absolutely, yeah.
At whatever level, that's always a big fixture. The lads will be looking forward to that.
Yeah, you can watch that game, of course, as you can watch all of their PL2 games this season on lcfc.com. Our coverage starts on Monday evening at 6:45. We saw Callum Wright give the Foxes the lead earlier with that brilliant header after Matt says the fantastic ball in. Hull, though, did equalise with this terrific header to make it 1-1. I guess defensively Will they be looking at that? Will they be frustrated with themselves, Matt, to let the striker in there?
Yeah, I mean, the centre-halves always blame themselves when they're not picking up and their man scores. Perhaps got attracted to the ball a little bit, but it's the area that you're losing the ball in initially that is the main problem. You don't want to be in those situations too often, and it's working out how to prevent that as often as possible. But there's a decent finish there.
Brilliant penalty from George Hurst, as you said there. That was right in the last minute as well.
Well,
that was to win the game.
Pressure on George there. I mean, the keeper sort of dived over it a touch, but listen, it was in the back of the net, and in those situations, again, at whatever level, you've got to show a little bit of steel. But there we go, little run up. It wasn't the world's best, really. He wouldn't get away with that, maybe at first team level, but goal's a goal, and George is off and running.
Yeah, that'll do him the world of confidence as well. We saw he made certainly one appearance, didn't he, towards the end of last season. It might even have been two, and then he played a couple of times in pre-season as well. And he had a great season for the development squad last year, and he's already up and running now.
Yeah, you never know how it's going to work out for you, but I mean, he'll be harbouring hopes, as will a lot of players on the fringe, that they can force their way into the squad at the very least on occasion. Particularly, this campaign where there's so many competitions that Leicester are involved in, they're going to need reserve players to come through, and they're going to need different options, and George provides that. And let's talk about Slimani, being back involved in the squad. So George might be looking at that, thinking, "Oh, that might cause me a problem individually," but that's the nature of football. Unfortunately, you have to take the rough with the smooth, but. Yeah, like in the back of his mind, he'll be thinking, maybe I'll get a few chances this season. If and when he does, he needs to grab them because, he's a young lad, but he's not a schoolboy anymore, and he needs to make that next step in his career, and he'll be hoping it's at Leicester.
As we said, the development squad are in action on Monday evening. You can watch that on LCFC TV. And their forward, Ali Regba, has been previewing the challenge.
I feel like the season that we had last year has really helped us. So we've carried that into the new season, and the momentum, as you're saying, the momentum we had, and so we're really just looking to carry that on and continue with that run and continue winning games and taking the game as it comes. So the United game, everyone's excited to get going and just looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a good start in the league for Leicester City's development squad in PL2. As I said, you can watch it on Monday evening, 6:45 on LCFC TV, following LCFC Radio's first extra time of the season. Hopefully, Matt, will be talking about a Leicester victory on extra time on Monday evening, won't we? I mean, West Brom, as we've already talked about, are a good side. They've got a lot of dangerous players. Yep. I think the two players in particular that West Brom fans will be pleased they re-signed, of course, Pereira and Grady Diangana from West Ham. Yeah,
just two of a number of players, aren't there? Romain Sawyers is highly regarded, isn't he? And they've got that previous Premier League experience, Robson Kanu, Charlie Austin, a number of the defenders. Jake Livermore is still plodding around in midfield, isn't he, for them, I think? So they've got that mixture of youth and experience, and they'll be excited, the players that you mentioned there will be excited to come into the Premier League and strut their stuff. And on the face of it, they've got a sort of decent blend. I think they'll make a better fist of it this time round than last. So a difficult game for Leicester. As we mentioned, it's not been an ideal situation pre-season. We don't quite know what's happening on the recruitment side. There hasn't been as much activity as a lot of supporters would like, but at the same time, there's still a lot of very, very good players at Leicester City, and I think people need to be mindful of that, what they performed last weekend, and with a bit of development, I don't see why they can't do something similar again. Although it's going to be a big ask because a lot of big sides are looking to improve in the Premier League, aren't they? And teams that underperformed last year will be looking to improve again and pick things up. So always a challenge, but an exciting one at that.
Yeah, and Brendan Rodgers will be up against Slaven Bilic as well in the opposite dugout. He's obviously got proven Premier League experience as well.
Yeah, both as a player and a manager. He's quite a character, isn't he? And I'm sure there'll be a seriously in-depth conversation between the two because they're both football crazy, aren't they? And they like talking about the tactical side and, the intricate side of coaching and management. Both quite intense characters and a meeting of minds, shall we say, but whether their players can perform and carry out the instructions that they give them. But there's a decent look about West Brom, I think, this time, and they made a little bit of a hard work of getting promoted last season when people thought it was done and dusted from early on, but they got themselves over the line and got all the makings, of a really closely fought contest on Sunday.
Is it fair to say, do you think, that not just Leicester, not just West Brom, but all Premier League clubs in these opening couple of weekends, it might not be the best standard that we're used to in the Premier League, just because of what's happened with pre-season?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, I've heard players talking about, even the ones who are on international duty, speaking about they used it as part of their pre-season, which is crazy in itself. You don't want to be going there, especially the younger players who are trying to make an impact. You're going there to impress, not worry about how fit they are or not. So there's still going to be a little bit of a bedding in period at the start of the season, but it doesn't necessarily mean the football can't be that exciting or interesting. It can be in different ways, can't it? If they're not up to speed, maybe the odd mistake will happen. And people can capitalise on that. There might be no shortage of action. I suppose if they haven't got that real sharpness, it could have an adverse effect on the games in terms of the speed and intensity of them to a level, but then that allows more capability for the skill factor to come in if you're that sort of player or team. So people can often make excuses, but listen, it is what it is. It's the start of a season. Every game, the first is as important as the last. You need to be focused and intense in your play, and I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will be looking to see that at the weekend.
I guess it's with these opening games, Brendan Rodgers will forgive the players maybe not being at 100%, maybe the intensity not being 100%, as long as they get that win, of course.
Yes, yeah, this is where I think perhaps there might be an element of a sort of cautious approach to Leicester's selection, if you like, at the weekend. I don't know, and I don't have any inside information. I wish I did, but I just think he's going to go there. All things considered, West Brom excited to be back in the Premier League opening game. I know there's no crowd, but they're not going to want to fall short on the opening day, Leicester. And I think rather than maybe be a little bit adventurous and go for that win, obviously they'll be hoping to pick up the 3 points, but I think they'll be solid more than spectacular in terms of his team selection, maybe. Because you don't want to be scrambling to start with, and a nice solid start. They've got a few games in the opening 5, Man City aside, where you're looking, a reasonable chance of picking up some points as well. You don't want to be too cautious because those games are important. You need to start well, but a nice solid base or platform from which to work from, I think you might see in terms of team selection.
Yep, you can follow all the action on a new look Matchday Live here on LCFC TV on Sunday. That starts at 12:30, so do make sure you tune in for that one. LCFC radio commentary is also available, of course, for the game. Extra time then on Monday starts at 5:45. You can tune into that one. As I said, it's 15 minutes early because the development squad are in action away at Manchester United, so do tune in for that on LCFC TV. Matt, before we say goodbye, what's your quick prediction? We did this at the end of Matchday -2 last season. We'll continue it now.
Honest answer, 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah, I'd like to be more positive than that. I think it's the way pre-season's gone, the way things are. West Brom first game, 1-1 won't be too bad a result either.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Matt. You'll be involved, of course, on Sunday, so do make sure you tune in. New Matchday Live from 12:30 on Sunday. But thank you very much for watching the first Matchday -2 of the new season.